Hi dear students, today we are going to learn a new poem, that is Television by Roald Dahl. Television, it is a didactic poem. Didactic poem means it aims at instructing something or teaching something a particular audience. So here the poem instructs something. What does it instruct? Here, the poem or the poet instructs that avoid watching television and promote reading. According to the poet, the television is an idiotic thing which kills the imaginative capacity of children. And instead of watching television, the poet says through this poem that promote reading among children, which can create imagination among children. That is the thing the poet or the poem wanted to convey to the parents. The poem is addressed mainly to the parents, and the poet asks the parents to uninstall the television, or he says it is better not to install, and if it is installed then uninstall that one, and instead of television place a bookshelf. And according to the poet, placing a bookshelf can help the children. How? By improving their imagination power. And in this poem, three basic themes are discussed. The first one, it is watching television. Second one, death of imagination. And third one, habit of reading. So the first one, watching television. The poet sharply criticizing the habit of watching television. From his experience, the poet observed that in many houses, the children are addicted to watching television. And the end result of watching television, that is the death of imagination. And the second theme, the same one, death of imagination. In many houses, the children are addicted to this idiotic box, that is television, and finally it causes death of imagination. The children, they are not longer able to imagine a fairy tale. And according to the poet, the third point, that is promote habit of reading. Rather than watching something, according to poet, it is better to read something and improve the imagination capacities of children. Many times nowadays, the children, they are not bothered about reading books. They are just busy with watching television and spending time in front of television. And through this poem, the poet sharply criticized such a kind of habits. And according to the poet, many times the parents, in order to become free from children, they allow children to watch TV or television for more hours. And according to the poet, that is not a good habit. Instead of that, give children the books so that the children will read the books and they will improve their talents. The poem is written in freestyle. What is the reason for writing this poem in freestyle? The aim of the poet is not to create a poetic effect. It is not to create a poet effect. But instead of that, the aim of poet or the aim of the poem is to just give a message to the parents. What is the message here? Avoid watching television, and instead of that, promote reading among children. And the literary devices used here, it is first one, rhyme scheme. The rhyme scheme of this poem, it is A, B, B. Throughout the poem, we can find the same pattern. And the rhetorical devices used in the poem, they are personification and apostrophe. Personification, you know, giving human qualities to inanimate objects. So in this poem, the television gets certain human qualities. The poet attributes certain human qualities to the television. That is why the use of personification we can find there in the poem. And the second one, it is the apostrophe. Apostrophe means here the poet addressed this poem to the parents who are actually absent. That is why the use of apostrophe we can find in this poem. And some, I told that the poem, it is written in freestyle. Then also some figures of speech are used here in this poem. They are metaphor and simile. So now we will start discussing the poem in detail. The next one, it is the language used in the poem. The poet uses almost the language of a prose in writing this poem, and he has avoided the usage of figures of speech. At the same time, we can find the usage of capital letters in the poem, and the reason for that, to give emphasis to that particular lines. The reason for using capital letters in sentences or the lines is that to give emphasis for that particular lines. And the poem begins with the most important thing we have learned. Instead of I, the poet writes we. What is the reason behind that one? Because it is not only the opinion of poet, but it is the opinion of all the people, a group of people we can say. The things the poet wanted to convey through the poem, that is not just the opinion of the poet alone, but it is the opinion of we. That means it is the opinion of a group of people. So you may please take page number 20. So there a brief introduction about the poem it is given. The poem Television takes a comic look at a serious problem among young children today. A serious problem. What is the serious problem here? That is watching television and the death of imagination among children. And many times the habit of reading, it is not found among children. The poem warns us about the dangers of excessive television watching. The poet, through this poem, warns the parents and people about the dangers of watching television. And through this poem, the poet advises the children and the parents to read books, for this will enable us to discover deeper levels of joy, find fulfillment in life, and open a whole new and exciting world for us. Through this poem, the poet advises the people, parents, children, students, read more books. For what? It will help us to discover deeper level of joy, a high level of joy, and find fulfillment in life, and open a whole new and exciting world for us. Now we will discuss the poem in detail. Television by Roald Dahl. First we will discuss the first 6 lines of the poem. The most important thing we have learned so far as children are concerned is never, never, never let them near your television set, or better still, just don't install the idiotic thing at all. We had already seen the poet uses we instead of I. Why? It is not only the experience of the poet, but it is the experience of people. Many people are having the same opinion. And what is their opinion? So Dahl advises from his experience. The poet advises from his experience that people should never ever allow their children to go near to the television set. So it is better, don't allow the children to go near to the television set. And according to the poet, it is better not to install the idiotic thing. And here the poet calls the television as an idiotic thing. There is no use in watching television. That is why he calls television as an idiotic thing. And But why is a television set an idiotic thing according to the poet? Throughout the poem, the doll attempts to answer it. So here we notice that the poet calls the television as an idiotic thing, and throughout this poem, the poet is trying to answer why he is calling the television as a idiotic thing. So the first 6 lines, through that the poet conveys the message that don't allow the children to go near to the television set. Is never, never, never let them near your television set. And according to the poet, it is better not to install the idiotic thing. Throughout the poet is trying to answer why he is calling the television as an idiotic thing. In almost every house we have watched them gaping at the screen. They loll and slope and launch about and stare until their eyes pop out. Last week in someone else's place, we saw a dozen eyeballs on the floor. So in these 6 lines, the poet is trying to share his own experience. The word "we" is used there. So in a way, poet is sharing the experience of people. What was his experience? The poet shares his experience here in these lines. In almost every house he has visited, he has watched children gaping at the screen. Children gaping at the screen. So what is the meaning of gaping here? Gaping means stare at the screen with a wide open eyes. That is the meaning of gaping. Wide open eyes. With a wide open eyes, the children, they are staring at the screen. That is the experience of the author, the poet. What is the experience? In almost every house he has visited, he has watched children gaping at the screen. The children staring at the screen with wide open eyes and with an absolute concentration of mind. They are not ready to move from there, and they are always sitting in front of the television with an absolute concentration on what is presented there. And for sitting long time, they loll and slope and launch about. The meaning of loll is to sit in a lazy or relaxed manner, and slope in a careless manner or casual manner, and launch means the same meaning. That means to sit in a lazy manner or relaxed manner. So for sitting a long time before the television set, they become tired. The children become tired. Then also they are not ready to move in front of the television. Sometimes they sit or lie in a lazy and casual manner. So they loll and slope and launch about and stare until their eyes pop out. They are tired after sitting a long time in front of the television, but they sit in front of the television in a lazy or a casual manner and get sloppy, but still they stare at the television until their eyes are too tired to watch anymore. Pop out here means to come out. Even though they are tired after spending too much time in front of the television, the children, they are not ready to move away from the television. Still they are watching television with the absolute concentration, and they are ready to watch the television till their eyes come out or pop out. So they are tired and they sit in a lazy or casual manner. That doesn't make any sense. But the preference is that to watch the television. That is the preference of the children, to watch television more. Whether they are tired or not, they are not focused. Then last week in someone's place, we saw a dozen eyeballs on the floor. That is a personal experience of the poet. All these are not Dahl's imagination. Whatever he says here, it is not the imagination of the poet, but from his own personal experience he shares. That is why he says the last two lines. Last week in someone's place we saw a dozen eyeballs on the floor. That means he had a personal experience. That means he saw a dozen eyeballs in a house. A dozen eyeballs here means half a dozen children sitting in front of the television watching something presented there in the television. So that is his personal experience. A dozen eyeballs, that means a half dozen children sitting in front of the television in someone's house, and they were watching television with the absolute concentration. So that is the meaning or the content of these 6 lines. He speaks from his experience that in the houses where he has visited, he has watched or experienced that the children watching television with the absolute concentration and the eyes staring at the television with the open and wide, and the children, they are not ready to move away from the television, and they are, even though they are tired, then also they are not ready to move away from the television. They just sit in front of the television in a casual or lazy or relaxed manner. From his personal experience, the poet says that last week in someone's place he saw a dozen eyeballs. That means half dozen children watching television with absolute concentration. Next 4 lines. They sit and stare and stare and sit until they are hypnotized by it, until they are absolutely drunk with all the shocking, ghastly junk. So here the poet is trying to convey the message that when the children are before the television set, they sit and stare and stare and sit for a long hours. They are not tired. Children are not tired. They are ready to sit in front of the television for long hours. They don't seem to be moving from there, as they probably forget everything around them in the real world. So actually, according to the poet, the children, those who are watching television for long hours, they forgot the real world. They are in the virtual world and they forgot about the real world. They are not able to make a difference between the imaginary world or the virtual world with the real world. Rather, the one they watch on the television becomes real for the time being. Those who are sitting in front of the television, they are not able to differentiate the real world and the imaginary or the virtual world. So whatever is presented there on the television, for them, that is the real thing. And in a way, 2 things happens to the children, those who watch television for long hours. They are hypnotized and they are absolutely drunk. Hypnotized, that means they forgot about the real thing and the real world. They are almost hypnotized by these idiotic words. They forgot about the real world and what is going on in the real world. And they are absolutely drunk. Their minds are filled with those shocking, ghastly junk. Shocking, ghastly junk means something waste, something not appropriate to the age, and something unreal. The minds are filled with something inappropriate, something unreal, and some kind of waste. There is no use. The useless thing. The minds of children are filled with the useless thing. The children, those who are watching television. And those TV shows kill their valuable time and make them lazy with no room for their physical play and exercise. The children, those who spend their time in front of television, they are not bothered about the physical exercise or the games outside, and their preference almost towards television. So the TV shows, it naturally, in a way, it kills the valuable time of the children for creativity and make them lazy, and they are not ready to go out and play and find some kind of physical exercise. And they have no scope of spending time with the books and nature and interacting with the others. Three things happens here. The children, those who are watching, addicted to some kind of TV shows, they are not ready to read the books, and they are not ready to understand the beauty of nature, and they are not ready to spend time with the others. That is why the poet says that they forget about the real world. And according to the children, those who watch television for long hours, according to them, what is presented there on the television, that is the real thing. So that is the difference. The children, those who are watching television continuously, they are not able to understand the difference between the real world or the imaginary world. And they are not ready to read the books, understand the nature, and interact with the other people. Their minds filled with the images and stories of virtual world, something not real. The virtual world, what is presented there on the television, their minds are filled some ghastly junk. That means something waste, useless thing. And here the poet is comparing that thing with this is compared to a drunk man's imaginary world in an apt metaphor. So here that we can find a use of metaphor. Absolutely drunk person, what is the condition of that person? For him there is no real world. He is in imaginary world. So the children, those who are addicted to watching television, they are compared to the absolute drunken person, drunk man. So that is the thing the poet wanted to convey through these 4 lines. That means those who are watching for long hours and those who are spending long hours in front of television, they forget about the real world, and they cannot differentiate the real world and the imaginary or the virtual world. And the children, those who watch more time, they are hypnotized and absolutely drunk, and their minds are filled with something useless things. Oh yes, we know it keeps them still. They don't climb out the window sill. They never fight or kick or punch. They leave you free to cook the lunch and wash the dishes in the sink. Through these 5 lines, the poet is giving some kind of benefits of watching or allowing children to watch television. Some of the reasons the parents say why they allow their children to watch television. What all are the reasons? Oh yes, we know it keeps them still. It makes them very calm. There are some naughty children, so watching television can keep them very calm and still. And whenever they are in front of television, they do not do any kind of mischiefs. And what kind of mischiefs? That means climbing out the window sill. The window sill means the horizontal beam. So the children, those who are in front of television watching that, they won't go for climbing the window sill, or they won't fight or kick or punch in between, and they leave you free to cook. They leave the parents free to cook the lunch and wash the dishes in the sink. That is the benefits of allowing children to watch the television. They let the mother free to cook the lunch and wash the dishes in the sink without any disturbance. The children, those who are sitting in front of television, they won't disturb the parents. So that is the benefits according to the poet. Why the parents allow their children to watch the television? Because it gives absolute freedom to parents. The children, they won't do any kind of mischiefs like fighting, kicking and punching, and they make parents extremely or absolutely free to do their own works. But that can't be an excuse to let them sit before a TV, because the poet thinks that the idiotic device does more harm than the good. So these are some of the good things that we can find allowing children to watch television. But more than good, watching or allowing children to watch television do a type of harm thing to the children, according to the poet. But did you ever stop to think, to wonder just exactly what this does to your beloved tot? So the last 5 lines we had seen some of the benefits of watching or allowing children to watch television. Now the poet is trying to give some of the bad things, the harm things that can be caused by watching television for long hours. The poet, he asks now the parents whether they ever spent a moment to think exactly what harm this television does to their loving child. Tot means the child. He himself answers it in a brilliant way in the following lines. So you can find that the words are given in capital letters. Some of the harm, some of the bad things that can be done by television watching. So that is given in a capital letters. The reason is that the poet wanted to give certain emphasis on the bad or the harmful things that can be caused by watching television for long hours. It rots the sense in the head. That means watching television regularly damages the sense in the head. That is the first harmful thing that can be caused by watching television for long hours. It can damage the sense in the head, and the children, they are drawn away from the real world or the reality, the real world around him or her. He just believes what he watches without considering the context. They are just addicted to what is presented there on the television. They forget about the real world or the reality, and they are not considering, they are not connecting with the context. The next one, it kills the imagination dead. It also, watching television for long hours, it kills the power of imagination in the mind. Children start to live in a preset imaginary world. So in a way, it kills the imagination of the child, and they slowly lose their own creativity and thinking. They slowly, after watching television for long hours, they lose their creative thinking. That is the second point. Then it clogs and clutters up the mind. That is the third point. The poet says that the television affects the child's mind, and children watch different shows on different channels. Sometimes they are contradictory. They watch different channels and different shows, and the message that conveyed may be different. That is why it clogs and clutters. The meaning of clogs, it is, clogs means to block, and clutters up means to fill with rubbish things. Watching different channels, different TV shows, then the minds that is filled with rubbish, and sometimes these shows can block the mind of the child. And it does not match, sometimes it does not match with the reality, and they are surprised. The children may be surprised whenever it doesn't match with the reality. So that is why the poet is saying that it clogs and clutters up the mind. That means total mess up in the mind. Moreover, it makes a child so dull and blind. The children become so lazy and in a relaxed or casual person. The child forgets to think on his own. His entire mind is full of the images he has seen on the TV. He is not ready to think his own, but already that images are created by the television. So he will normally becomes very dull and blind with whatever shown on the television, and there is no scope of thinking. So since there is no scope of thinking, the child becomes so dull. His study may be affected, and his entire physical activities will be affected, there is no chance of improving. So the 2 points, it clogs and clutters up the mind and it makes a child so dull and blind. The next danger that can be caused by watching television more, that is the child, he can no longer understand a fantasy, a fairy land. That is something, fantasy and fairy land. That is something connected with the imagination. Due to imposed limitation on thoughts, the watching television, it gives imposed limitation on thoughts. In certain way only the children are forced to think. So in a way, due to imposed limitation on thoughts, the children can no longer understand a fairy tale or a fantasy. So they cannot think in their own manner. The children, they cannot extend their imaginative power to that level to think about the fairy tale or the fantasies. So reading books and the television are different. Reading books, it improves the imaginary capacity of the child, but watching television, since it imposed limitation on thoughts, the children, they cannot understand a fantasy or a fairy tale. The next danger, that is his brain becomes as soft as cheese, his powers of thinking rust and freeze. He cannot think, he only sees. That means, according to the poet, he says the brain becomes soft like cheese. After watching television for long hours, the brain becomes soft like cheese. Children now believe everything they watch or see or hear on television. That is why the poet say the brain becomes as soft as cheese. They just believe whatever things they see from television or hear from television. They cannot find their own logic to analyze and interpret a thing. They don't use any kind of their own logic to analyze the thing or to understand the thing. They just believe whatever shown there on the television. The power of thinking, what happens to the power of thinking? The power of thinking rust and freeze. The thought process freezes and gets rusty. And they cannot think. He cannot think. He only sees. They cannot think on their own. But what they do, actually they are watching something and believing what others say on television. That is the thing that happens while watching television for long hours. Actually, they only sees and they are not thinking. They do not use their thinking capacity. They just see or watch what others are saying and what others are doing. So the brain becomes soft as cheese and the powers of thinking becomes it may get freezed and the process of thinking freezes and gets rusty, and they only sees and they do not think about the things that is happening there on the television. So that is the dangers of watching television. All right, you will cry. All right, you will say. But if we take the set away, what shall we do to entertain our darling children? Please explain. So, all right, you will cry. You will ask. The poet expects some kind of questions from parents. What is the question here? Now, the poet says that he knows what the parents, or especially the readers or the parents, would ask him. There will be a question. What will be the question? The question is that what? But if we take the set away, what shall we do to entertain our darling children? That is the question that the poet expects from the parents. The question is how parents shall entertain their loving children if they take away the television set. And following lines the poet is trying to answer. We will answer this by asking you, what used to darling ones to do? How used they keep themselves content before this monster was invented? Have you forgotten? Don't you know? Through these lines, the poet is trying to give an answer. He is asking a question to parents. What you used to do? The poet answers the above questions only by throwing a question. So the parents asked one question. If we take away the television set, then what we have to do to entertain our beloved children? So here the poet is asking counter questions to answer the questions asked by parents. What people used to do to keep themselves entertained? Contented means entertained when television was not invented. Before the invention of the television, what people used to do? The poet is asking. What the poet is asking a question. Before the invention of television, what people used to do in order to entertain their children? TV set is dreaded device, a monster. According to the poet, he calls television as a monster, and he wants people remain what they used to do in the absence of such a device. So he is just asking a question to the parents what they used to do before the invention of the television in order to entertain their children. We will say it very loud and slow. They used to read, they read and read and read and read and then proceed to read some more. Great Scott, Gadzooks, one half their lives was reading books. The poet himself gives the answer to the parents of the reader. What is the answer? That means in earlier times the children used to read lots of books, and surprisingly people then spent half of their lifetime by reading books. In earlier time people used to read books more, and half of their lifetime they spent for reading books, or one half of their lives was reading books. Half of their lifetime they spent only for reading books. And here two expressions are there. Great Scott, Gadzooks. It is to express a surprise or amazement. That is why it is used. So through these lines the poet is trying to answer what people used to do before the invention of the television in order to entertain their child. What they used to read books more and more, and half of their lifetime they spent only for reading. The nursery shelves held books galore. Books cluttered up the nursery floor, and in the bedroom by the bed more books were waiting to be read. Here the poet gives a clear idea about the earlier times. In those earlier days the nursery shelves were full of books. That means books galore means the books abundantly. Many books were there. The nursery shelves were filled with the books. In nursery schools, books remained scattered. Books cluttered up the nursery floor. Cluttered up here means scattered on the floor. Even in their home, the bedroom and the bed, books cluttered up everywhere. The books were scattered everywhere in the bedroom and even on the bed. More books were waiting to be read. That is the thing the poet is trying to convey here. That means in earlier days the children they used to read more, and everywhere in nursery shelves the books were filled and the books were scattered here and there, and even at the home, in bedroom and on bed the books were scattered, and all the books were, many books were there waiting to be read. Such wondrous, fine, fantastic tales of dragons, gypsies, queens and whales, and treasure isles, and distant shores, where smugglers rode with muffled oars, and pirates wearing purple pants, and sailing ships and elephants, and cannibals crouching round the pot, staring away at something hot. It smells so good. What can it be? God gracious, it is Penelope. Through these lines, the poet is trying to give an answer. What type of books the children used to read during his time? The children used to read books, wondrous and fantastic tales. Tales means stories. Wondrous and fantastic stories of dragons. Gypsies. Gypsies means the people who travel around the world. So they used to read the stories of dragons, gypsies, and queens, whales, treasure islands. Isles means treasure islands. They used to read stories of gypsies, dragons, queens, whales, treasure isles, and distant shores where smugglers or the thieves rode with the muffled oars. They moved their boats to that particular destination, distant shores, where smugglers rode with the muffled oars. Muffled oar means without making any noise. Muffled means without making any noise. They moved their oars. Oars means the poles that help the boat to move forward. So they used to read the stories of smugglers who traveled to distant islands, distant shores without making any kind of sounds, and pirates wearing purple pants, about the thieves or smugglers, and sailing ships and elephants. The stories about the ships that travel to distant destinations, and the stories about the elephants. Then stories about cannibals crouching round the pot, staring away something hot. Cannibals means the people those who eat human flesh. The humans who eat human flesh are known as the cannibals. So cannibals, they used to read the stories of cannibals crouching round the pot, staring away something hot. It smells so good. So the children may confused. They may use their imagination. What are they preparing? What are they preparing? Is it something delicious one? Actually, it is human flesh they are preparing. So it creates a kind of imagination in child's mind. And cannibals crouching round the pot, staring away something hot. It smells so good. What can it be? God, good gracious, it is Penelope. Penelope means it is a dish that is named after the Greek, the faithful wife of Odysseus in Homer's epic. So that you can refer in your workbook. So here through these lines, the poet is just trying to answer few things. He just wanted to convey few things. That is, during his time, the children used to read fantastic or good stories of dragons, gypsies, queens, smugglers, or elephants, or cannibals. In the coming lines also, the poet is trying to give some types of books which he used to read during his childhood. The younger ones had Beatrix Potter with Mr. Toad the Dirty Rotter, and Squirrel Nutkin, Pigling Bland, and Mr. Tiggy Winkle, and just how the camel got his hum, and how the monkey lost his rum, and Mr. Toad, and bless my soul, there is Mr. Rat and Mr. Mole. Or books, what books they used to know, those children living long ago. Here the poet says that the younger children used to read stories written by Helen Beatrix Potter. The first line, the younger ones had Beatrix Potter. Beatrix Potter was an author of children's books. She was an author of children's books, and in a way he gives a tribute to the children author, that is Helen Beatrix Potter. So almost in all her books, animals were the main characters. The children's books featuring animals with colorful illustrations. Almost all the books written by Helen Beatrix Potter, the children were the main characters. And he also mentioned some of the characters in the children's books like Mr. Todd, Squirrel Nutkin, Pibbling Bland, and Mr. Tiggy Winkle. And at the same time, he mentioned about some of the stories about just how the camel got his hump and how the monkey lost his rum. And some characters like he gives an idea about some characters like Mr. Todd, Mr. Tiggy Winkle, and some others, Mr. Rat, Mr. Mole. This actually shows the poet's love for those books and how he enjoyed reading these books in his childhood. So, in a way, the poet is trying to give an idea about the books that he used to read during his childhood or the children used to read during his childhood. The children, those who living long ago. The children, those who lived long ago, used to read the books or about the stories about Mr. Todd or the Mr. Rat or Mole, Tiggy Winkle, and the stories like how the camel got his hump or and how the monkey lost his rum. Such kind of stories also they used to read. And the favorite author it was Helen Beatrix Potter. In the next 4 lines, the poet makes a request to the parents. That is, so please, oh please, we beg, we pray, go throw your TV set away, and in its place you can install a lovely bookshelf on the wall. So there is a request from the author or the poet. What is the request? We beg and we pray, a kind of request. The request is that go throw your TV set away. That is the request. Go and throw the TV set away or uninstall the TV set. So, in a way he says, go and throw the TV set away, and at the same time, in its place, the place of television, you can install a lovely bookshelf on the wall. The poet now requests the parents for their own good to throw away the television and install a bookshelf in its place. The poet says to replace the television with a bookshelf, which can give some kind of benefits for children in future. Then he says, then fill the shelves with the lots of books, ignoring all the dirty looks, the screams and yells, the bites and kicks, and children biting, hitting you with the sticks. So the next thing, after uninstalling the television and placing a bookshelf, then the poet asks parents to fill the shelves with lots of books, good books. And initially what will happen, that also the poet mentions here. The children ignoring all the dirty looks. Initially the children may look these things in a dirty manner. They may not accept such a kind of actions from parents. So the parents will face some dirty reactions or dirty looks, screams, yells, bites and kicks from their children. And poet is asking parents just avoid such a kind of looks or the screaming, yells or fighting or hitting. Just for the benefits of children, just avoid such a kind of scream or yells. They may even hit them with the sticks, but the poet insists on filling that shelf with lots of books on various topics, ignoring all the screaming and other things. Poet is just asking parents, install a bookshelf instead of television. Go and throw away the television and place a bookshelf instead of a television, and after that fill the bookshelf with all the good books. and as a result, the children may look parents with the dirty looks and reactions. Just avoid such a kind of ignore such a kind of looks. Why? It is for the betterment of children. That is the message the poet conveys through these lines. The poet continues that fear not, because we promise you that in about a week or two of having nothing else to do, they will now begin to feel the need of having something to read. Fear not, don't worry, because we promise you. The poet assures or gives a promise here. And what is the promise here? That after a week of two, those children would find nothing to do without a TV set around. The TV is already uninstalled, that is taken away. So for children there is nothing to do. In a way, they may forced to read books since televisions are not there. So they will finally feel the need to read the books because there is nothing to read. So they in a way forced to read the books. They will come closer to books on their own. There is no need of compelling children, because once TV set is not there, there is nothing to do, then children normally take books for reading, and in their own they will come close to read books. And then the poet says, and once they start, oh boy, you watch the slowly growing joy that fills their hearts. They will grow so keen, they will wonder what they have seen ever in that ridiculous machine that now is eating foul, unclean, repulsive television screen. Ridiculous machine here, that is television. Once the children start reading, the only way is ahead of them. That is, only one way is that reading, because already the television is taken away. Once the children start reading, they will find it interesting to read more and more books. Once they start reading, it will be interesting for them to read more and more books. That will give them an imagination and thoughts. It will create imagination and creativity in children, the knowledge and wisdom, the satisfaction of mind and heart. That is the promise, he says, that will give them imagination and thoughts, the knowledge and wisdom, the satisfaction of mind and heart. The children those who read books, they will get imagination, thoughts, knowledge, wisdom, satisfaction of mind and heart. And at one stage, they will grow so keen on reading books that they will wonder what they had found in that silly machine called television. The silly machine, that is television. Once they start to read more books and they find it is very interesting, then normally they think that what did they get from the television or from that silly ridiculous mission. They will find the television screen disgusting and unclean then, as they will discover the real joy of reading books. Once they find the real joy of books or reading the books, then they will find that the television is something disgusting and unclean. And the last two lines, and later each and every kid will love you more for what you did. The poet says that finally each and every kid will love the parents for giving them the chance or opportunity to read the books and find the real happiness. Finally, the children will thank the parents for providing a good opportunity to read books and find the real happiness. And even they would grow up, once they grow up, they would thank their parents for taking that television set away and installing the bookshelf there. The place of television, the parents, if they install bookshelf, once the children grow up, they will thank the parents for their such kind of action. We love you more for what you did in the past. Throughout the poem, the poet says television is something dangerous to the children. Watching television for long hours, it may affect the imagination capacity of the children and the brain can get affected. So according to the poet, reading is the best or good habit. Promote reading among children. The three themes in the poem. The first one it is watching television, and the second one it is the watching television kills the imagination, and the third one promote habit of reading. Throughout the poem, the poet discussed about the dangers of watching television and the reasons for parents to allow children to watch television, and then he gives certain solutions and the books the children used to read before the invention of the television, and a final solution was given by the poet, that is, instead of television install a bookshelf, uninstall television or throw away the television and in that place install a bookshelf. The children may find difficulty in initial time, but later they will cope up with that situation. They will start reading books. Once they start reading books, they will enjoy and they will thank parents for their such a kind of action in future. Now you may just go through the poem and write a summary. In your workbook, some explanations are given. Just go through that one, and based on that you just write a summary, and after that you may write answer to the first two unsolved paragraphs. Thank you. Have a nice day.